pickup thing, do this, that. They don't think about it. And you've got guys who work in the trades who actually know what they're doing and who are curious and who check things out and who try to improve all the time. I know you're a geek like me, Rich.
No, don't say it ain't so.
Not alert. No, but and you want to understand why things are happening. We were just talking about a friend of mine who's a structural engineer, and rather than look in charts and look in tables to figure things out, he can actually derive the tables. He actually knows what he's doing. So when we do the inspections, there's a lot of guys now that are into thermal imaging. And I've checked, last time I checked, about 230, 240 inspectors in the Chicago area have the cameras.
Oh, really?
I talked to an inspector I know who's been an inspector for a long time, from domicile.
Yep.
And he said that everybody has them now, but very few people actually have any training with them. So
I'm one.
You're doing. Yeah,
I have a FLIR. I have a nice thermal imaging camera, and you know what I use it for?
What?
Temperature differential.
Yeah,
that's
right.
it.
Exactly.
Beyond that, I am not well trained in it, but it's still a tool.
Right, and the because I do the work with the split block certification as well as water intrusion and a lot of litigation work. I went and got trained on it. I also was working on this stuff way back in a previous life when I was at the University of Chicago doing medical thermography. But back then, the machines were like $3.5 million, and you had to keep them cool with liquid nitrogen, which doesn't match out to this guy.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have to understand what you're doing, and because it is so intuitive, because there's a picture, that people automatically think that they can figure it out. But it's been very much fun when I go to court for litigation stuff, and they get a guy who does the thermal, and he just says, well, it's cold, so therefore it's water, and he never bothers to check it out. So I was going to do a little check here. Thermal imaging is just like...
Right. We are on Facebook Live. Okay. We're with Will Decker, and he's got the thermal imaging gun. Before we do this,
sure.
What's the difference between this thermal imaging gun and... Because I can get an app for my phone that says it's thermal imaging also.
Right.
Is that the same thing?
It's kind of the same thing, but this machine is actually, it probably has better resolution. The number of pixels that it has determines how much resolution it has. This is a 360 by 480. They make them much more result than that, but you can get the little cheapy ones now. You can get a FLIR 120 by 140 for like $800.
Wow.
The reason that this is more expensive is it has a lot of adjustments that you can make, which I'll explain in a bit, as well as the software that comes with it, because the picture is not just a picture. The picture actually has data, so you can do calculations and histograms and things like this. So this
technical stuff.
Yeah, this is just like your phone. It's got a chip in there which will detect the light and make it a picture, whereas your phone's looking at visible light. That part of the electromagnetic spectrum that we can see with our eyes. This looks at infrared light. Now, you got to remember infrared and ultraviolet and cosmic rays and X-rays and radio waves and microwaves and stuff. It's all the same thing. It's all electromagnetic radiation. It's just different frequencies and different energies. So we're looking at infrared light.
Where's the nerd alert? Nerd alert!
I don't know. Mr. Wizard. No, Drezel Drone.
No, I'll try to keep it, understandable.
It's all right, Will. Go for it, man. That's what you're all about.
No, it's fine, dude.
But you're basically looking at heat. So this, instead of looking at like your phone, which has you're looking at your phone with different colors and different intensities of brightness, this just tells you different temperature. So I'm going to show you something that...
Is this like still starting?
Yeah, it's just I love this camera, but it takes forever to boot up.
Wow.
So that's one of the things too.
Is yours an older one? Because these things aren't.
It's about
cheap.
4 or 5 years ago. It's a Testo.
Okay.
The Testo has a better camera than the FLIR for that price range.
Okay.
And the software is excellent. But it'll be up in a minute, and then I'll show you a little thing.
So what do you do with this? What are you looking for?
I'm looking for differences in heat.
Okay.
If I go into a house that's it's winter and it's cold and the heat hasn't been on, you can't see anything because everything's the same temperature.
Right.
I was going to show you here a little aspect of it that you get when you learn how to do, you actually learn how to do thermal imaging. I'm a level 3 certified thermographer that most people don't understand, and so that's why they can make mistakes. But I guess we'll do that when we come back.
Okay, so Ken on the Facebook posted here, what have you heard about the new metal roof shingles? That metal roofs that look like shingles. Are those good? Are they bad? He was wanting to know. Since he could just post it right here and get the question right on Facebook Live.
60.
I like them.
Yeah.
I also like the new ones. They look like slate, but they're made out of recycled milk jugs.
Yeah.
And they last forever as long as you use copper nails to put them on.
Right. And then, Rich, are you using them down there, metal shingles?
No.
No. Okay.
No, everything here, again, we test to 170. They probably don't have an attachment that will do that.
Oh. Yeah.
Because that would be just
Everything here has to be,
flanchettes.
we call it, WECO NOAs, Notice of Acceptance. They have to be Miami-Dade approved through testing before we can put them up.
All right, we're gonna stay live on Facebook Live, and then we're gonna get this thermal imaging gun fired up so we can play with that, and we're gonna do that in the next segment. You are listening to
Mighty House.
This is Mighty House. Mighty House will return.
Clear.
Actually,
When
I
you
just
hire a
pulled my
professional to do remodeling work on your
Yeah, well,
I just pulled my camera out because
yes.
I got the FLIR i5. I don't even know what the pixels are
Yeah.
offhand. But no, I never took the classes. FLIR keeps sending me stuff. I read the quick start guide, so I pretty much take colored pictures.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I played around with it too. I happened to jam my toe up, and that was about the time that I got my first one, was when my oldest daughter was pregnant, and we actually took a picture of her belly, and we could see an outline of the fetus and stuff.
Wow.
We're not looking through stuff, by the way. You're just looking at surface
Right.
temperature. But,
Right.
and everybody freaks out that you're looking through stuff. That's one of the reasons.
Right.
Whenever I'm doing an inspection, I'll sit there and I'll bring the husband over to the side and the wife, and I says, well, we have to do this. How long have you guys been married? And they go, 5 years. Well, look, remember, he's still hot, okay? And I do that as a joke, but I also do it to show them we're not looking through any clothes here.
Right.
Because I've had people who call me and says, hey, there was mold in the wall and you didn't see it. And I go, I can't see through walls.
Right.
Right.
But
It's not X-ray vision.
no, it's not. And that's the problem too. When I was interviewed by the guys for Angie's List, when they had that thing on they did a regular column on the Sun Times, and I says we're not looking through walls. And when it came out, it's like home inspectors now have X-ray vision, can see through walls. And I called him and says, I told you that's not what I said.
Right.
Well, we can't retract it.
Right. No, it has to be true. I saw it on TV or I saw it in the paper.
Yes.
But, yep, that's always the issue.
I'm going to show you a little example of something here.
But I go on a job if it's still there at the end of next week, and we have a little mold in an attic because we're getting condensation because in an unvented roof structure on the AC equipment. So we know what's going on. Somewhere there's a hole in the insulation that's allowing too much humid air and it's condensing. So I have to go there and I'm looking for the leaks.
Have the
So we're gonna
appropriate
blow a door
licenses for the
and
products
infrared.
they offer.
This is Your Talk,
Hey, this place is really something else, huh?
only on 1590 WCGO, Evanston, Chicago.
Here I come to save the day.
Here they come to save the day. This is Mighty House.
Mighty House is brought to you by Mr. Floor. For more information, check them out at MrFloor.com. Mr. Floor is donating all of the proceeds today. If you go buy their floor cleaning products, their tile cleaning products, they're donating that to Robbie's Muckfest run. So go to MrFloor.com right now. Scroll to the bottom of the page, and you can purchase that. 100% of the proceeds will be going to Robbie's Muckfest run. So I want to thank Mr. Floors for that. And also, you'll find a link on our webpage, on our Facebook page, on our Twitter page, on WCGO's website. There's links to all of that stuff right there. So feel free to go out and purchase that floor cleaning products. It's great stuff, and it helps go to a good cause also. And if you give us a call at 847-475-1590, you have a chance to win some Mr. Floor cleaning products. You'll even get it for free there. So they're all non-toxic and environmentally safe, and you can learn more at MrFloor.com. We've got Will Decker here live in the studio and live on Facebook Live. Say hi, Will.
I will.
And Rich is up there. You can see him.
Yep.
He's hunkered down in his house. Lights are on because he's shuttered his whole house. And so there is no light in his house anymore unless he turns on the lights in the background. So there he is up there. And there's Brandon, who is taking a swig of whatever he's got there, his Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew, yeah.
Yeah, so Brandon's sitting in there. He actually came in today. He didn't bail on us.
Eating a donut.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling really bad about myself.
So, and then Will Decker Home Services. He brought in a toy for us for show and tell on the Facebook. And so we're going to let him talk, and he's got his thermal imaging gun. Are we ready to go with that?
Yeah, I just wanted to do a real quick example here. We're looking at temperature. Now, every material has three properties for electromagnetic radiation. It'll either let it through, like, light through a window. It will reflect it, like light off of a mirror, or it will absorb it and then re-emit it. And the only thing that you're looking at with thermal imaging is the emittance. You're looking at how the material is emitting the heat, okay? Everything has a certain temperature unless it's at absolute zero, in which case it's dead and I'm not worried about it. So the thing that you're looking at then is what they call apparent temperature. We're not, when we aim this camera at something, like I'm going to look at your forehead right now, if you move the phone out of the way, and you got like 94.5 degrees on Ron's forehead.
That's pretty good.
Now that's the apparent temperature. So the reason that we can see that is because his skin is emitting, but different materials emit at different levels, and so the apparent temperature would be different. I brought in this cup for an example. The cup, you see, it's blue with white patterning, and the blue is done by a ceramic paint which has got cobalt in it. The white is done with a ceramic paint that has titanium in it. So they both have different emittances.
Oh, yeah,
and you're looking at something. Now, the cup, the water inside is 133 degrees.
Okay.
So the cup should be roughly the same. It's been sitting there for a while. But you see that the cup, the blue part, is coming in at 118, whereas the white part is coming in at 126.
Now I don't know if you can see that on Facebook, but
yeah,
you can.
Can you?
Yeah. Okay.
Can you actually see the
temperature number?
The temperature number, but also you can see the outline of what's painted on the cup. You can see it in the thermal.
Can't quite see that. Can't quite see that on Facebook.
Now the problem that you have,
it's not focusing.
Too much glare off the camera too.
And you're shooting the coffee mug, yes?
Yes. Now,
I mean, it's the only one I see what I handle.
And
but the funny thing is the reflection in the countertop.
Right. You see the reflection here. The countertop is now. I must also have this coffee cup by the side, which has got a brushed nickel thing. Get yours, and it's yours is nice put next to it. And you're seeing there not.
Got my sippy cup up there now too.
You're seeing the reflection of the thermal off the cup. So it's not like that sippy cup is 100 and something degrees, 104 degrees. It's that it's reflecting. So when you're looking at your image, you have to know what you're doing. If I'm going to look at a roof, a modified bitumen roof with aluminized paint, I don't want to look at the reflection of the aluminized paint. So there's a process we can go through to take that and eliminate it out of the picture. This would be something that those little machines that you get on your phone wouldn't do. If you look here at the studio, you're seeing here, we're not seeing into the studio, we're seeing the reflection
of us. Hey!
Because in infrared, glass reflects.
Right.
Okay? Whereas in visible light, glass goes through. Or, visible light goes through glass.
So that's why even with a thermal imaging gun, you can see the reflection of yourself in the mirror.
You have that router there up on top of the speaker, which has got electronics in it, so it's hot. I can put my hand here on the counter and pull it away, and I still see the outline of my hand. I'm also seeing the reflection of the lights.
Yes.
But so when you're playing with the images and you're looking at it, you have to know what you're looking at. You were talking before about moisture. I had a guy who called me, and I went over to see him the other day. A 2-year-old house, and really nice, and it's foam insulation. It's one of those rectangular townhomes you see in Chicago. And but he's got humidity like nobody's business. It's 73% humidity inside the house, and it's nicely sealed. He had a friend of mine who called. He called him to see if they could ventilate the roof, and my friend says, "No, you've got a foam sprayed on the underside of the roof, flat roof. You don't ventilate this." Well, how do I deal with this humidity? He's getting mold showing up on drywall just because of the humidity in the house. And
tell him to quit breathing.
This is the thing where they're building the houses tighter and more energy efficient, but there's always something else that happens along the way. That's one of the reasons we started the split face block certification program, where we have a lot of these buildings now that are built with split face block. And I wanted, when you had the building commissioner on here, I wanted to call in and ask her, are they still building those?
Right.
I saw a couple the other day that they're putting up just south of the Eisenhower, and they're building them the same way they always were.
Take a drive down Fullerton, North Avenue.
Oh yeah,
they're all over the place.
Yeah, and they're still being built
the wrong way.
Yeah, and so the split face block program is where we inspect, we make sure that everything's done. We have certain contractors that will be able to fix it and make it okay. So just because you have split face block doesn't mean it's wrong. It just has to be repaired or built properly. And you certify it, and therefore people will have no problem buying it. You buy a condo and then you can't sell it to anybody, you're screwed.
Right. Well, and there's a lot of them out there right now that are just sitting empty because they're mold farms, and nobody can afford to repair them.
Right. Exactly.
And then it's the guy on the top floor that's got the problem, and the people down in the floors below don't want to pay for it. But eventually, that top floor is going to come down on them, and they are going to be paying for it.
And we've actually seen buildings like this where the ends of the trusses have rotted out.
Yes.
And because for some stupid reason, they grout the trusses into the pockets. I'm like, no. You never have wood in contact with masonry. But they do, and they rot out, and they pancake collapse, and then everybody's screaming, and they go to the city, and the city's like, we're not responsible.
Right, and at least they should have used pressure-treated lumber on that top cord, and it might have lasted a little longer, but they don't even do that.
Yeah, but it's just a matter of you have to... It's better if you hire people who know what they're doing, and know what they're doing because they think about what they're doing, and they do it right.
Yep.
As opposed to just following...
But that... And I agree, but a lot of that goes back to what we complain about all the time, the lack of true licensing or testing for licensing to become a general contractor.
Sure.
It's harder to become a home inspector than a general contractor.
Sure.
In the state
and
of Illinois.
there's only 2 municipalities in Illinois that have any testing for GCs.
Right.
Evanston and Highland Park.
Right.
And there's only, I don't think there's licensing for masons. There's not licensing for carpenters.
No.
Roofing.
Electricians.
Roofing, plumbing, an electrician is spotty. It's
an electrician is county or city, right?
Correct. Yeah, it's not statewide.
Right.
There is no state
but
license.
Roofing and plumbing, I think, are the only 2 that truly need to be licensed.
Yeah, and roofing is just one guy in the company has to be licensed.
Correct.
Exactly.
Well, so you were talking
HVAC. It's the same issue then. When you got HVAC contractors, they went through schooling, but do they actually run your manual J's and manual D's? And then, it's
no, they don't.
They just slap it up the way that their dad taught them.
We were going to set Robbie up and have Robbie have her own HVAC company because all we needed was $50 and to have her sign a name.
Yeah, and a GL policy.
Right.
Well, you were talking the other day, you talked to our association about the changes in the code.
Yep.
And you'd be surprised how many people I run into that, even electricians, and they say, well, you have to have GFCI within 6 feet of the sink and near water sources. And I go, no, 6 feet of the sink used to be the old rule.
Right.
But they come up with the rule, and then they don't give an explanation. And these guys, they've already done their apprenticeships, and damn if they're going to go back to school again.
Right.
And so they think, it's because of water. But actually, it's GFCI anywhere there's a ground, because the electricity can go through to you to the ground. And so that's why if you understand what you're doing, you're always going to do a better job. You're going to be more expensive, but you do a better job. I tell my clients, hey, I'm a little more expensive than the average guy, but I think I'm worth it.
You're getting all these certifications when you hire Will Decker from Decker Home Services. What's your website?
That's right.
DeckerHomeservices.com.
All right, there we go.
Left-hand side on the website, left-hand side bottom link, I write articles and papers and explain this stuff. So feel free to go there and read them anytime you want.
If you're feeling nerdy,
you can understand them.
Yeah, if you're feeling nerdy,
you can. I try to write them that way.
Yeah. Go
But
for
no,
it.
I just had I had an incident last week. We're trying to finish a house in Palm Springs, or in West Palm Beach, rather. And the inspector, we have flame fire bowls that go onto the pool, as decorative fire bowls.
Yeah.
And the inspector says, well, these are not bonded. They wanted them to the pool bond. And, the pool bond is we tie everything metallic together with copper wire. You're bonding it all. Well, he's like, this is stupid. My super's telling me this. He goes, this is just being a pain in the ass. I go, all right, do you understand what bonding is? Bonding is not grounding. It's a completely different thing. So I explained to him potential and milliamps and people with pacemakers and other issues. You can touch two dissimilar metals, have a different amount of electrical current, even in milliamps, and it can stop your pacemaker. It can cause things. So I'm like, it's important that it is bonded, so get it bonded.
There's a whole 3-hour course.
But he didn't
we
understand the reasoning behind it.
There's a whole 3-hour course we have just on grounding and bonding.
Yeah.
And don't get me started about CSST. That's just
All right. That's Will Decker.
All right, just clear up one thing. What's CSST?
Corrugated stainless steel tubing for gas.
Oh.
It has to be bonded.
Yeah. All right. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back with Will Decker. One more segment, and I'm going to close up the Facebook Live right now also. You are listening to... Go ahead.
Mighty House.
Mighty House.
Get that deep.
This is